Hi, good evening. How are you all doing? Thank you so much for coming this evening, and I hope you will enjoy the tea and you have the mixture. And you're welcome to have dinner right after our session. The kitchen is just right across. I see they have idlis and puliogres and all the yummy dishes. I think it's most all the Indian dishes there. So please feel free to have dinner there when you leave. But today's session is a very interesting session. It's on energy healing, spiritual awakening, and I'm very excited to be here, just bringing all these panelists on a Saturday evening for you all to be here. You're welcome to come and sit in the front at a later point because we'll also be doing some meditation as well. And I'm Nazira. I'm hosting the Chai and Just Chat session. This is our 30th month session. So for almost 2.5 years and more, we've talked on different topics, and we have some loyal attendees. And no, I'm seeing you after many months. So thank you again. So the agenda for today is we're going to moderate the session with questions, and at some point we'll have probably around 5:45. We'll stop for Q&A from your side if you have additional questions for them. And at 6, we'll have meditation. One is from heartfulness meditation, and the other Sai will lead the other 15 minutes of meditation before we leave, because we want you to leave relaxed as well. And in the midst of our daily stressful or running life. And a quick introduction for our panelists today. From our left is Kate Felzine, and you are going to learn a lot new than when you came in. I've been learning about many things as well. And if you must know, I used to practice medicine in India. So I used to deliver babies and C-sections. So if you asked me about anything that we are talking today, apart from Dr. Saravanan, he's a cardiologist, I was very skeptic, let me put it that way. I was very skeptic, but I think life takes us all in a journey where it makes you or teaches you that there's much beyond science. And that's the reason I had to put this session today. When I was having a conversation with Aarti, I said this is something that our team and many should learn more about. So Kate practices crystal therapy, crystal resonance therapy, and she's going to talk about it. And I'm doing a very brief introduction. I'm going to ask you generic questions in the beginning, and you can tell more about yourself as well. And Dr. Saravanan is a cardiologist. I got very interested in his practice because he's doing integrated medicine as well. So he introduces, I'm not going to make it wrong, but he introduces the Ayurvedic or traditional medicine to the modern medicine and makes it more effective or efficient. And so thank you so much for coming here, Dr. Saravanan. I know you're on call today, so I have to respect you for taking time off to come and educate us. Andrea, to my immediate left, is a Reiki practitioner, and she will tell you today why she doesn't consider Reiki as energy healing, but a spiritual practice. So I'm so excited to hear from you as to why. And Catherine Silverton is practicing astrology. And Catherine, India is known for astrology, I must say. And so I would love to hear from how it's different in the Western part of the world, or is it the same that everybody learns throughout the world. And thank you for being here, Catherine. So much, the Neptunes, oh my gosh, there's so much in astrology, right? Okay, we have Aarti Venkatesh. She is a criminal defense attorney, and she practices also psychic medium. So this whole session came as we both started talking, and I got so interested, and she says she understands. She said, she saw me in one of my birthday party or something. She said, there's an old spirit around you protecting you. I'm like, what did she just say? so not putting anything under, but I respect and I want to learn, let me put it that way, and I want to learn more, to understand more. So thank you, Aarti, for being here. The first question I asked her was, so do you already know if the person you're representing has committed a crime or not, right? Because if you're psychic, you should know. But anyway, she's going to tell us more. Just imagine if you have a lawyer who already knows you've done something wrong and then he's representing you. That's a bit scary. So Ruchi, thank you so much for being here. Ruchi Lodh, or goes as Ruchi Truth, practices spiritual response therapy. And Ruchi, based on your personal experience and how you've taken this spiritual journey, we would love to hear more from you. How many of you know spiritual response therapy? What is it? See, by the time they go, I need all of them to raise their hands. And yes, you will have quizzes in between, right? So Sai, I want us to give him a special welcome for the reason. Sai showed me that life happens. I hope you understand when I say life happens. So we've had two panelists today who are not able to make it because they got sick. And one of the main session for today was meditation, right? And both the panelists were the ones who were going to guide us through meditation. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And this happened at 11 in the morning. But life happens, right? So you can't fret. And that's what today's thing is about. I said, breathe. I was whining a little bit, but breathe. And I said, whom else do I know? Whom else do I know? Then I remembered Sai. I didn't have his number, but somehow I got to his number. He picked up. He said, of course, I'll be there. So luckily, we also have Sat Gaurav from Heartfulness, also who will be guiding a 10 to 15 minutes meditation towards the end. So thank you so much for accepting and being here. And Sai, thank you again for being here. Sai's background is on IT as well. So my first question to y'all is, we're talking about healing today. Oh my gosh, healing, spiritual healing, soul healing, physical healing, emotional healing. I don't know if there's anything called financial healing. But that's something we don't talk about. And then you have the holistic healing, which puts sort of the body, mind, and soul together. If I must. And I think one thing that any of y'all, I think there's one thing when your clients come to you, one thing that you ask is, what is bothering you? I think even when we're starting this session, keep in your mind, each one of you, if you want to get something out of this session before you leave, there is something bothering you. There is some issue that is bothering you deep inside. And let's listen through the session and see where is my healing point, or what is my healing point. So Kate, my question to you is, as I said, the first one is a generic question, so the panelists, so the attendees would know you more. What does life mean to you? And you can have your mic. You have to switch it on, I think. Yes. What does life mean to you?
That's a deep question.
And you can look at the attendees and answer yes.
Well, for life to me is all about a spiritual journey. How am I improving myself? How am I growing spiritually? How am I learning better how to worship God? And how am I able to take what I've learned and turn it into a seva? How am I able to give to other people and share what I've learned? Because we all sometimes feel kind of like islands, like I have this problem and no one else has ever had this problem before. But once you go through a healing journey of, a particular issue, whatever it is, you now have that within yourself, within your soul, within your body even most of the time. And now you're at a place where you can give, where you can share. And so for me, the journey has been, and the meaning of life is, how can I turn everything I do into an act of seva, an act of service?
Thank you, Kate. Very nice. So you found your purpose, and you're working on strategies to get to that purpose.
Yes.
Very nice. Thank you. Dr. Saravanan, I know you like watching movies. Which was the last movie you watched, and what did you get from the movie?
I watched the Kaidi Tamil movie last, I think. So to be honest, I normally don't get much from the movies. I just watch it. I like the songs and things and everything. I don't try to learn anything from the movie because I don't think they're meant to be kind of any experience or anything. So to answer your question, to be honest, I don't learn anything from the movies. I just watch it.
Very nice.
I love music, so I like to listen to music, watch the movies. I like the comedy times because it just gives you time to laugh. But otherwise, I don't take too much from the movies.
I think I already learned a good lesson. I'm going to stop crying watching emotional movies, right?
I think it happens. It's just that 3 hours. Like after that, it's done. You have to just come out and do what you need to do. So.
Sure. Thank you so much. Kaidi was a very good movie. I watched it too. It's about. Can you just briefly tell the audience what it's about, since you mentioned the name of the movie?
Yeah, I think it's about a guy who goes to jail when even without seeing his kid and comes back, and so though everybody thinks he's a bad guy, it's like many Tamil movies. I think it's nothing great. So to me, it's more of an entertaining movie.
God, it's a masala movie.
Masala movie. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Andrea, what comforts you the most? Yes.
What comforts me the most? Honestly speaking, my Reiki practice comforts me the most. I have a daily practice. It's where I turn to come home to myself. So that is the most comforting feeling.
Very nice. And I must say, it will be nice if you guys can look at the audience and answer all, because there are more people over there. So I'm just kidding. You're going to hear a lot of jokes here. So what is your greatest hope, Catherine?
Okay. I would say my greatest hope as an astrologer is for people to have a greater understanding of what astrology is and how it can be a useful tool in their lives. My hope is that hopefully in my lifetime we can dispel a lot of the myths, particularly in this country, about what astrology is, to help people understand that it's not voodoo, it's not people who practice astrology don't have 3 heads, you might notice, and that it's an amazing tool for helping people understand who they are, their interpersonal relationships, their spiritual path, when to take action and when to not take action. So that would please me greatly.
Great, thank you. Aarti, what do you fear?
Great, easy question.
If you can hold the mic. Yeah.
So everybody, we all come into this world with fear, which fear in spirituality lingo is called the ego. And we all have what's called the ego, which is fear. I can say that my greatest fear that I've always had since I was very young is the fear of failure. The fear of failure, to not be good enough at what I do, or to disappoint somebody, or to just fall short of my divine purpose. That's my greatest fear.
Okay, sounds good, thank you. Ruchi, is there something you tell yourself every morning when you get up?
I do. Gratitude is what I actually start my day with. My journey has taught me, because I've been through many years of depression, but they were my spiritually awakening years. So I came out of depression with expressive gratitude, and that is my prevention to going back, and that is my cure. So gratitude is what I express every single day for everything I have.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Ruchi.
you.
Sai, if you had an opportunity to write a book, what would be the name of it?
Wow. I guess living life to the fullest.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, often we all want to do things, but then you don't get to, and then we always run behind something. So I'll be writing about how you don't necessarily have to run behind, try to always reach the sky, but fall short of it. So, try to find a comfort medium zone where you are happy and fulfilled, but achieve everything in your life.
Very nice. You fall in alignment with my youngest. She's here. Her name is Rasi. She was on a panel, Sai, and I was asking a couple of people, what is the purpose of your life? And I'm guessing I'm still figuring out. We all are at some point. And she said, Mom. I mean, she didn't say Mom. She said, it's my purpose is to enjoy life. Coming from a 12-year-old. And I'm like, wow, she's already figured out, So that was a very nice, innocent answer. So Aarti, my first question to you is about spirituality. How is spirituality different from religion or metaphysics? Can a spiritual person be religious or not religious? Can a religious person be spiritual or not spiritual?
The answer is yes. Religion and spirituality can be mutually exclusive. The difference between religion and spirituality, religion is living somebody else's experience, whether it's through scripture, doctrine, going to church and listening to somebody in a pulpit, or coming to the temple. Religion is somebody else's experience. Spirituality is living your own experience with the divine. And they can be mutually exclusive, absolutely.
Do they go hand in hand? Can you tell us more? Like, should they go hand in hand? Which one is more important? Can we measure which one is better than the other?
No, neither is better than the other. However, again, spirituality is having your own experience with the divine. I can analogize it to somebody telling you about a movie, for example, that you haven't watched, as opposed to you going and watching the movie by yourself. So that is the difference. If you want the real experience, everybody needs to tap into their own spiritual self and their own connection to the divine. And we all have connection to God, every single one of us. So that is the difference. I wouldn't say that one is better than the other. It's just our soul's purpose to seek out what we're supposed to be doing in this lifetime.
When does a person, is there an age that a person starts becoming spiritual? Can anyone from less than 10 years old start becoming spiritual?
Yes, absolutely. Children are the most spiritual beings because when they come into this earth, babies are basically the closest to God straight from the heaven energy we're going to have here in this 3D realm. So as children, they get older, their egos come in and their personalities come in and they start to lose that. But children are most connected to the angels and connected to the divine. So there's no age necessarily when somebody wants to seek out spirituality. A lot of people do it when there is some type of crisis that happens in their life, or they lose somebody, or they're grieving. Something usually triggers somebody to start to think more about their own spirituality and their own connection and relationship with the divine.
Great, thank you. So I just want to let you know there's still chai. Feel free to grab chai any time, and you all can come and sit, in the comforters as well here. There's also some snacks. I know you both came in. Please go ahead. Feel free to take the chai. And also I'd like to acknowledge our to-be or would-be Congressman Mark Gonzalez. Thank you for attending. He's running for Congress, so thank you this is your second session that you're attending our Chai and Just Chat. We appreciate you and bringing Donna, your wife, today.
We're very, very glad to be here with everyone. Thank you for giving me a chance to say hello.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Mark. So Andrea, the next question is for you. In this age and technology, people want a scientific basis. They want the best practice methods with evidence. Tell us about Reiki, or just in particular, any energy healing. Can it be proven? When people ask this question, I go back to what Martin Luther King and Gandhi did. How could have goodness been measured? I mean, there was no measurement. We couldn't say numbers went from here to there. It was just continuously doing good and representing justice, and then finally they achieved what they wanted. I'm comparing that to Ricky. So if are there scientific basis to prove this works, and how does it take you to convince people? Because 10 years ago, I have been a skeptic myself. I haven't tried Ricky anytime, but I would love now that I'm opening up myself, my brain cells to other things. Tell us more.
Sure. It's interesting. My husband is a skeptic too, and I was too. I come from a corporate background. I knew nothing about this, but as far as scientific experience, I mean, science and spirituality are actually very similar. They're both looking for answers. So as far as science, there are research studies that have shown that a single Reiki treatment can move your physiological state from the stressed out mode of our nervous system, which I believe is the sympathetic nervous system. We are constantly living in that state. And we're not supposed to be. That is the mode where all of our resources are being mustered up to move that car off that child. And many of us are living in that state constantly. And research has shown that actually one treatment can remind our systems to move into more balance, into that parasympathetic state where we're able to rest and digest. And when I say digest, it's not just physical food, it's also our emotions. There is research out there. Some of it is very good, some of it not so good, as with all research. But as a Reiki practitioner, I have also noticed physiological, I notice it in my clients. I notice they start taking deeper breaths. They might drift off. There's increased salivation, which is indicative of your digestive system being sort of worked up a little bit. So as far as science, I'm not sure if I can point you to a specific article or anything like that, but anyone who has experienced it will tell you that they feel better. And my husband, he doesn't believe anything, but there are physiological benefits that both him and I notice. And so that, I guess, would be evidence-based.
Sure. So what would you say to those among us who would say that these sessions are, I don't want to use the word, but I'm sure you might have heard it, let's say global. Some of the words that are used to describe energy healing are scams or con artists. How do you convince them to say that the money that they put in actually benefits them? And these are people like me who know mostly allopathic medicine, we know only medicine mostly, right? So how do you convince them, and does insurance cover Reiki? Or what can the people here do if we do want our insurance to cover such healing practices?
I am not aware of any insurance companies that cover Reiki as a modality. I'm aware of perhaps maybe massage therapists who also incorporate Reiki. That might be an option for people, but I'm not aware of any insurance companies. And as far as convincing,
and you can look at the audience.
I'm not a salesperson. I'm not going to try to convince you to try. It has to come from you. And if you're interested and it's calling to you, then it might be something worth trying.
And it goes to the saying, if the student is ready, then the teacher will be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah? Okay, awesome. Thank you, Andrea. Dr. Saravanan, as a cardiologist, most of us, I can speak to it that all we know is pharmaceuticals and medicine. especially in the Western world here. Doctors are mostly talking about, all the new, not just the technologies, but the new drugs that are coming out. But your journey is different. I'm sure it must have changed you at some point. I don't know if it's because your origin is from India, where we believe much in the traditional medicine, or people have started to also believe energy is medicine, food is medicine, your thought is medicine. How are you integrating the people's thoughts into your practice?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm actually also in the learning stage at this time. So like you, Nazira, when I trained in India and then I trained in England, and I came here probably 20 years ago, so only in the last 10 years. So if you asked me 10 years ago, all these things had the same thing as you are, and slowly kind of starting to read about it and experience it, and I'm still in the journey part of it. And especially coming from the Indian subcontinent, though there was so much knowledge available there, I was not exposed to it, because when we go to med school, and then almost like 15 plus years of training we go through, and none of these things will be taught in any med school around the world, so we never get exposed to these things, even though I was in India. To answer your question, especially about these energies and things, my interest got more from the Siddha and Ayurveda principles, because they had a complete medical system 5,000 years ago. It's the modern medicine kind of started like 300 plus years ago, but people were living and treating and things for many thousands of years. So there must have been a knowledge there which we can tap into, and that's what exactly I'm trying to do now. And if you really look into those things, where though it's called in different names nowadays, the energy medicine, all these things were used in those ages, many thousand years. It's well documented. It's all in one of those older language, the Chinese medicine, the Indian medicine, they all have this documented very well before. So how I incorporate at this time, I'm still learning, but there is a growing, what we call a specialty called integrative medicine in the US. This is where there are now fellowship programs in all major universities, like Harvard has it, Johns Hopkins has it, Duke has it. The Center for Integrative Medicine is also coming up in every major university. For example, even I go to Emory, suddenly I saw on the Emory computer screens, they're offering acupuncture now. So 10 years ago, if you go and say somebody acupuncture in a medical world, they'll just say that, what is that? I think, how can you do that? Now they're advertising it as, we are offering acupuncture, so come to us. So one day, who knows, all these things may be part of a general care itself. But I'm kind of mostly with the university and trying to integrate the knowledge from Siddha from South India and Ayurveda, and we're doing some field studies on those things. And to answer your question about the energy medicine and things, one of my friends who is in Colorado, VA, he does a lot of studies on meditation and mantra, which what Andrea talked about, the sympathetic nervous system. So you can measure the activity of the sympathetic nervous system through your heart rate variability. Actually, if you have the Apple Watch, the newer ones, if you go and look at it, it will give a rate called heart rate variability. So that's kind of an indirect measurement of how your sympathetic system works. And the more variable it is, it's better. So when you do these practices, so he has put out multiple papers that your heart rate variability improves. And if you look at the traditional research, if the heart rate variability is good, your cardiac prognosis is good. So you can indirectly say that these things can be measured, and they've already published many of these things too. So these are all not just people talking about it. There are evidences to say that some of these techniques work. Which works, which doesn't work, that I don't know. That's what I'm here to learn too.
So you're saying probably we have a good scope in the future where we're not just going to trust the patients with the medications we give them. We could prescribe spirituality.
Yes, definitely. I think it will be. The thing is, other thing people think is like when doctors, especially doctors, think this a lot. Like they give the medication and patient take it. Most of them don't take it. There's a good amount of data saying that people don't, especially if you give one medicine, sometimes they take 80% of the time. Once you start giving 3 medicines, they only take 30% of the time. And many of them take, especially alternative medicines. They don't tell the doctors because they're kind of little afraid of telling about it. But if you really look at the published data, a good number of people in US take alternative medicines and go for alternative therapies, which is very well published and documented.
Even in the Western world?
It is. It's very well.
Wow.
That's why the industry is so big, because it's used by a lot of people. But they don't come out and say it, but it Yes.
Which is good. Okay, thank you, doctor. So Ruchi, my next question is for you about soul healing. I think at the end of the day, we are all striving to be happier, to heal, and to be more compassionate, right? But somehow that doesn't come very easy. We get caught in the everyday stressors of life and would always want to take over the ones who are going slower, even on the road, right? And I always tell my daughter, why do I always have a grandma or a grandpa in front of me in the car? Not to make it fun, but it's just like we want to take over. It's just the stresses of life come forward. But how did your spiritual journey help you to be where you are now? I know you talked about depression. Please tell us, because
So
I think most of us go through it. We don't talk out much.
So
When did it
definitely
start?
depression
When did it
is
start?
exactly, people in spirituality term it as the dark night of the soul. However, for me, that was my spiritual awakening. I understood it as a wake-up call. It was, my soul was shaking me up real good to connect me to my living purpose. I was a pleaser, an appeaser, trying to make everybody happy. In the process, I couldn't definitely make everybody happy, neither could I make myself happy. So I was losing my power, which we all have because the divine spark is within each of us. And there was a day I hit rock bottom, and it was my son became there were 5 valedictorians in his high school, and he was one of them, and I realized there was no happiness. I was projecting happiness because I was supposed to be happy, but I didn't feel it. And that was, I had become an actress. I could show people I'm happy, but I wasn't feeling so. However, in my spiritual journey, I could observe, there was a part, I was always analyzing myself. I could see my reactions to people, I could see my reactions to situations. And a lot of support system from what I say is the angelic realm or God came to me. It's like if I would switch the TV on, what I needed to work on, if it was forgiveness, I needed to feel some forgiveness. Then, midway down the movie, the movie was on forgiveness. I remember, so lot of support from articles, from literally even, I don't watch soap opera, but once on YouTube, India is the only place where they make soap operas where they choose a female and who is literally a divine embodiment of goodness. For me, that became that I need to be that. So I won't say anything made is not helpful. For me, it was, if I watched it on YouTube, I would forward it, get the ads out, and I would watch how is her reaction, where she's an embodiment of positivity to people wronging her, to people. For her goal is forgiveness. Her goal is no judgment. Her goal is no expectation. And I wanted to be that. So I'm like, if you are ready, then the support system comes to you from any place. And I stopped watching them as soon as the last cloud of depression left me. I didn't need it. So my spiritual journey, like if you can observe your reaction to every situation in your life, every experience, and to people, you can know what you need to change within yourself, because you cannot change people or experiences. You can change yourself and how you react to those people. So it is like Mahatma Gandhi said, you change the world around you by changing yourself. And that awareness and mindfulness actually broke me away from depression. It was a lot of work, many years of instilling, because to change yourself needs effort. Because my normal reaction to a scenario had become negative. I was perceiving pain. And I had to change the perception of pain to gratitude. It is teaching what is the weakness in me. I need to change it is a mirror of my weaknesses. I need to change. So good reading. I filled Mahatma Gandhi says 3 monkeys. Do not, bura mat socho, do not speak bad, do not hear bad, do not listen to bad, or do not speak. For me, it is 4 monkeys, and it's the exact opposite. Speak good, hear good, read good. Read is very important. We need to be a student forever to the last breath of our life, because we cannot stagnate at a certain point. If you read, your mind actually starts absorbing. So for me, all those 5, I filled all my senses with positivity. So I did not go to a doctor. I knew that was not my solution. My solution was changing myself as a person. It was a 14-year journey.
Very nice. Thank you so much for sharing, Ruchi. For many of those who are still seeking answers, I think your testimonial would really help. And I think now they have the 4th monkey, which doesn't hear, which doesn't speak, which doesn't see, and has a cell phone in front of it.
That should be out for sure.
Okay, Catherine, the next question is for you. So just like how, suppose we want to get a good dentist or a good doctor, right? We ask around, we do research, are they in network? We look at their reviews. I bet even for astrologers, astrology, they do the same. So they might come with referrals or reference. So how is this energy healing practitioners, do they do referrals as well? I wanted to ask that question. Is it as easy? Does it come? Or the next question is also about the confidentiality and the privacy of the practitioners, like astrologists. Suppose, do you read charts of your family members? Do you read charts of your spouse? Any conflicts arise because you already know the answer and he's not following it? So things like that. How do you work out through all those conflicts and still practice?
Okay, thank you. Those are great questions. So I really don't read for people with whom I have a close personal connection unless it is something that's very simple that I can answer, because it is difficult to be objective. When I work with my clients, I don't want to know anything about them at all because I don't want to be biased. The only thing I need to know is their birth information, which is the date, time, and place of birth. And in terms of references and referrals, there are several certification bodies that monitor or actually test astrologers or people who want to become astrologers to see if they have the appropriate knowledge. I became certified through the American Federation of Astrologers, and it's they have 3 levels: student, professional, and actually teacher level, and those are 8-hour exams that test your proficiency of doing the mathematics of casting the chart and then the interpretation of the chart. So I know a lot of very good astrologers who haven't gone through those testing procedures. A lot of them are just mathematically phobic, and so they don't want to do it. I feel like I've probably been practicing astrology for a lot of lifetimes because it came so naturally to me. In fact, when I was 7, I knew I was going to practice astrology. It was strange.
Wow.
So I think that it's a matter of reputation. I'm skeptical of people who do a lot of advertising because I feel like if you have credibility, the likelihood is that you're going to acquire your clients through word of mouth or through an organization that recognizes that you have certification and that you have references. So, the proof is in the pudding, as we say here. So if I do a good job, my clients come back and they refer other people. So I hope that
Yeah.
does that answer your question?
Yeah. So are the clients looking for trust, the trust factor in you?
Absolutely, yes.
How much is that important in your field?
It's very important. If they don't feel like that they can trust me, then and I wouldn't be worthy of having them as a client if they didn't feel like they could trust me. And confidentiality is my number one priority. It is just so critical. As a matter of fact. Several months ago, I was at an Indian restaurant having lunch by myself, and I had the chart of a very dear friend of mine, and a woman came up to me and said, "Excuse me, I can't help but notice that you have a chart in front of you." And my first reaction was to quickly close the chart because her name was on there. And I apologized to her. I said, I don't mean to be rude, but this is very confident, and maybe I should have folded over the name before I even sat down, but a doctor doesn't reveal who their patients are, and attorneys don't, and so the only way that people would know who I see is if they were referred by them.
Okay, before I go to Kate, one more question for you.
Sure.
What is your top most reason people come to you for astrology? Or their charts read, if I'm getting that right.
Right, yeah. Outside of wanting to understand themselves, I would say career, direction, and relationships, money, security. My hope is that more people's concerns are also what is my reason for being here, and how can I fulfill my path? And occasionally I do get those questions, and that's very fulfilling. But people are also human and have daily needs. So
Sure.
I do my best to address those needs as well.
I see that you can predict too, and I said I was not going to do this, and I'm not going to ask you who our next president is going to be. Okay, just leave it at that.
Okay, I will tell you.
Might be towards the end. Might be towards the
Probably
end.
won't like my answer.
Thank you, Catherine. Kate, so I think most of us have to heal by aligning ourselves with nature, right? I don't remember when is the last time our kids have enjoyed or breathed the fresh air, listened to the songs the birds sing, or the river flow. They're just mostly on their iPads and cell phones. But tell me, how did your journey start with the crystal resonance therapy? And tell us about it for those who don't know. How many of you know about the crystal therapy? See, that's good. So it looks like we are teaching a lot today. So please tell us what it entails. And what does one session with you for crystal resonance therapy mean?
Okay.
And if you can hold the mic near your mouth, yeah.
Well, my love of the earth and crystals and minerals and even trees and plants has been from a very young age. My philosophy is we have to be grounded on the earth because we're human and that's where we live, and so that's one part of our connection, if you want to call it our electromagnetic connection, is to be grounded with the earth, and the other part is to be grounded to heaven or God, however way you want to describe that. But for me, I always, when I was little, I would sit by trees, I would pick up a rock, I would just collect these. And it wasn't until many years later as an adult that honestly, it kind of got out of hand. I had so many of them. And so I began to wonder, what is driving me to do this? Why do I keep collecting these minerals and crystals and stones and little pieces of trees? And so I got to the point where I started doing some research, and I found a program in Arizona that is specifically there to train you not only to intuitively work with the crystals and minerals, but to also take it a step further and to, once you're done with a session with a client, to say, okay, So I use these particular crystals and minerals. What does that mean? So when you come to me for a session, you'll lie on a massage table, but you'll be fully clothed. So just you could wear something comfortable. But what will happen is I will intuitively select based on my work with the stones. So backing up a little bit, every single stone that I used, I have personally developed a relationship with. Meaning in my program, which was a 2-year program, I worked with each stone and each element for weeks and weeks to develop a system. So when I work with these particular stones, they have a meaning for me. So when I pick up pyrite, for me, that particular stone is most connected to earth element energies and fire element energies. And so I can look back and when I was working with that stone, what issues did it bring up for me? And, you know, in the earth element, normally that's, you know, your foundation, your family, your structures in life. You know, are you balanced with your family? Are you financially, you know, do you feel comfortable with your finances? Have you had trauma around these issues? So in a session, I will intuitively select the stones based on my own work with the stones. And all of the clients, they either fall asleep or they just think that it's just the most wonderful energy because, like you were mentioning, most people come in being completely in this world, in America even, if you want to say that. We spend all of our time up in our head, you know, constantly, you know, what am I going to have for dinner? What are my kids doing? You know, what is my next career move? And so very few people this day and age take the time to work with nature, work with the energies that are within the cosmos, within the natural world, to try to bring yourself back into balance and back into a place where you come out of your head and go into your heart. And so once you can come into your heart, then a lot of those energies can start to come more into balance. So on some sessions, usually the first session that you come to with me is just a straight session. But after working with you for a while, I also have specific meditations that I can lead you through that can start, say on your first session, something came up around your finances or your job or something like that. You know, some of the future sessions, I can take you through some meditations to start trying to peel back the layers of where is the root of that particular issue for me? Where did this start for me? But then the other thing that attracted me to the particular program that I went through is there's even another step past that. Once you leave the session with me, I will do a complete chemical analysis of all the stones that I used. So say I used 10 different stones, I will go through and make a chart of all the chemical components of each stone that I used. And that can give us some further information. Say if you had the predominant element that was used was iron, that can give a lot of information about, you know, what could be driving your particular issue. Sometimes it's physical, but most of the time it's energetic, something, you know, that you haven't healed within yourself. And so after the session, I'll do a follow-up with you by email or text or phone to say, you know, now that I've done the chemical analysis, here's, you know, what showed up for you, and that's what, and here are the things I can kind of draw from that. It's not an easy road. It's once you start working with the elemental energies, they really will, they'll flush everything out. You know, everything that needs to come to the surface eventually starts to come up because they just have a way of, and that's why it's called crystal resonance therapy, is resonating with those parts of yourself that need addressing, need healing. So it's just a powerful, powerful tool, and it's really made a huge difference in my own life.
Sure. So let me ask you this question, even on behalf for all the other energy healers here as well, or spiritual healers. Should the client still visit his or her primary care physician for anything particular apart from visiting you all?
Yes, for sure. I like to think of it as whatever you have a belief in is what's going to work for you. So right now, most people are very, and for good reason, because our medical knowledge and our use of medicine is at such a high level now. So most people have a strong belief that this is going to work for me. And so by all means, everyone should always follow through with their primary care physician or internist or whoever you see. This is more of a way to get at the root of the problem. Sometimes you may go to a physician and they'll prescribe you something that addresses the symptoms, but it doesn't always drill down to the underlying root of what's going on, because many times that's a spiritual dynamic. So I think being able to take advantage of everything that's available to you, why not try it,
Great, thank you, Kate. So sorry we saved the best question for the last. Is it true that, or tell me if it's true or false, a spiritual, spiritual person, does he still get angry, jealous, all the negative emotional energy? Does he go through that? Even though he's well beyond his spiritual journey, he's gone through it or she has gone through it. And I think as normal people who either started the spiritual journey or not have been there, like for me, I'm starting probably, is how does meditation or yoga practice help with reducing those negative emotional energy? And tell us about meditation.
Sure. Before I answer that question, I don't think I introduced myself earlier. I've been an IT professional for a long time. That is my job. But I'm also a yoga teacher. I started my yoga journey back in 2007. And then I realized the value of practicing yoga. And then, decided to devote more time and energy to it. And then wanted to also teach others, not just self-practice, but also want to give it back to the community. So I became a certified yoga teacher, and then I've been teaching yoga at Chinmaya Niketan, Norcross location since 2015. So I've been teaching there as a service to the community. Going back to Nazira's question, spiritual person, definitely someone who is spiritual, or they are still human being, right? So we all go through the emotions. We all get anger, frustration, happy. It's part of the package. It's going to come. It's about, I guess it's about how you handle that emotion, right? That's what differentiates from a person who is spiritually awakened versus who is still going through this normal day-to-day. So yeah, everyone goes through that. I mean, whether they are ultimate Swamiji, someone you adore, or somebody sitting here in the panel audience, we all go through that. Just how they address that particular emotion, that is differentiate them. The second thing is about meditation or practicing yoga. Let's start with meditation. Meditation is something that I would strongly recommend anyone from as young as possible, right? So the good things in life has to start early, right? Early in the life, you build the foundation, put them in the foundation, it grows really well. So something that kids, right? Recently read an article about a school in West Baltimore where they were sending the kids, students, to discipline them, to send them to a meditation room instead of giving them a punishment, right? So rather, if you give them meditation, they're able to control their mind, they're able to, focus, get better, so that they don't go back to get a detention again, right? So that is one could handle the situation. So meditation is a excellent way to reset. Your mind is always running around 200 things. You're either living in the past or thinking about the future. That's us, right? Always either in direction, never today, never this moment. Me and my wife, we talk about our little dog and always jealous of the little dog because it never worries about what's coming later or what happened. You probably left him alone in the house for the entire day and then come back, and then it's still so happy to see jump up and down and wag the tail. They live in the moment. We don't. And meditation is a way to live in the moment. Reset all emotions that are running in your mind. Synchronize your focus with the breath and center it, right? Living in the center. That is basically what the meditation is going to bring. And that is also how we can handle some of those emotions that we just talked about, right? Anyway, so
there's a lot going on globally. How does a person tune out? Because you can tune in, you can belong to this group or that group or that group or this group. But then you're putting yourself more into maybe us versus them or them versus us. How does a person tune out? Does the person have to belong in one of those groups to understand who he or she is? Or can that person be individualistic, understanding what my purpose is? How do I tune out to environments that are not productive?
Right. It is a noise, right? I mean, there's so much going on. Today, the world has become, very small, right? It's in your hand. You open up you wake up, you look at your mobile in the morning, you look at the Twitter or Facebook or CNN or whatever you look at, there's a ton of things going on. That may be the virus that's going on and it's spreading, or something is bothering you all the time. And it is always the latest one that's bothering you more. So it's not the one that happened a week ago that's probably worse than this. But then we always are looking at something that's hot, that is really sad, something really, but then we also get numb to it at some point, right? We read today's news and then it's worse than the yesterday's news, we forget the yesterday's news. So there's so much going on, so much noise. Of course, just sympathizing for something but not taking an action is not helpful either, right? Oh, so sad, something is going on in that part of the world, they don't have water, then what am I doing about helping them? Right? So either contribute, you do what you can to slowly contribute and just focus on what your core principles are and align with them rather than trying to look at everything and not being able to contribute to anything. I'm concerned. So what am I at? I am concerned about animal cruelty. I'm concerned about what farm animals go through and how it's polluting, how cruel things are. So my causes, that's basically where, so the way I kind of filter out what is irrelevant, where I'm not going to make a difference. Of course I'm sad. Of course I'm sympathizing all that is happening, but just focus on what you are into, what's your personality, how you can make it better for you, for others. I guess that's probably the way to.
Social media nowadays, good or bad?
It's too much of that is bad. Anything in moderation. Social media could be used for good and bad. Science could be used for good and bad. So it's about how we use a particular media. I can put a false ad about something and dishonestly bring in more people to a business. Or I can, like she was saying, I don't necessarily have to put 200 ads to build my business. It should come because you are doing such a good job. It's a word of mouth or something that's. So likewise, the social media, you just use to the minimum for a good cause, or just to get to know and share, but not necessarily live in the social media that completely ruins. You're living in a virtual world that is not realistic.
Thank you so much, Sai. Aarti, let's go following up on the medium. So let's not talk about social medium. Let's talk about the psychic medium. You've talked to me in a bit about spirit guides. Please, how many of you all know what's a spirit guide? Wow, good. So do you all, Deepti, there's space, so much space here, so if you want people to come and sit in the front also. And feel free to get the chai anytime any of you all want. So let's go back to the spirit guide. What does spirit guide mean? Let's talk about psychics in this. Sometimes the word is sort of used as a negative connotation, but might be there are other words for psychics. And also tell us about manifestation. You talked to me about this, and it was so good to hear and learn more. And when did you first actually get your psychic medium? Tell us about that part. Like, why did you start calling yourself a psychic? And all of a sudden, when? How?
So I started my spiritual awakening journey 3 years ago. It's been just about 3 years. And I'm also a lawyer. And prior to that, all I ever wanted to really be is just a really good lawyer, the best lawyer I could be. And my journey, my own awakening was triggered by another soul connection who started to come into my energetic space. So this person triggered everything for me. And at the same time, my psychic abilities were coming in. People who are psychic or empathic, they're always kind of interested or fascinated with the subject, and I was always very interested in the topics, astrology, psychics, since I was very young. I had no idea that I was going to ever have these abilities. And slowly I started, I'm very highly clairaudient, which means I could hear, I can hear divine beings talking to me, and there's 5 clairs. There's 5 different ways of getting information from the divine. I don't know if Nazir wants me to go
Yes,
into that.
please, yeah.
Okay, so there's 5 clairs. They're called the clairs. Clairvoyance, which is for highly creative, artistic people who are very visual. Clairvoyance means they can see. They see visions. Clairaudience is for somebody who's very left-brained, such as myself, a very logical thinker who learns by reading. And it's clairaudience, which means you can hear divine beings talking to you. That's the mode of information. Claircognizance means it just comes as an epiphany, as knowledge. Clairsentience is you get feelings. I'm also clairsentient. And anyone want to help me with the last one?
That's fine.
Clairsentience, audience, cognizance, voyance. There's also one for smelling and one for taste. Mm-hmm. So with psychics, you're always awakening. So once the journey starts, it's a life ongoing process. All of the gifts and abilities will come in eventually. It comes in, they give it to you slowly. Because if we got everything in one day or 1 week, we would go crazy. So that's how I started. That's how my journey started. And slowly my abilities started coming in stronger and stronger. And I learned how to meditate. I took a 5-month course to learn how to be ethical as a psychic, because there is ethics that is involved as a psychic, because we have powers that is given to us as a gift from divine, and it has to be used ethically. So I learned how to use my gifts ethically. I started doing readings every month, and I also do psychic readings as well. And it's been a journey for me to learn how to integrate being a lawyer with psychic abilities, and the both are still coming together a little bit, but it's a slow union there. So,
can you tell us what a typical reading looks like?
Yes. So typically I do, I used to read, there's a psychic fair every month in Roswell, and I used to do readings there. The readings there are 20 minutes, but they're very quick. When I do slower readings with personal clients, it usually involves a pre-meditation. So I usually do a 10 or 15-minute pre-meditation before I connect with the client. It can be done on the phone. That's usually how I do readings. They're on the phone. And I just connect into their energy, and then I just go ahead and go up and channel. And I channel their spirit guides or my spirit guides, and everybody up there is talking simultaneously, and I just get the information, and I just, I'm just the vessel. Psychics are really just the vessel, and it just comes out of my mouth.
So I'm sorry, I have so many questions to ask you. So your psychic name is Shiva John.
Yes.
Okay. So it looks like the psychic healers or the energy healers have their own additional name, if I'm not wrong.
No, I did that because when I started doing readings at the psychic fair, I was very new, and I am yet to come out of the psychic closet, so to speak, because I also am a lawyer, and the two have not yet completely integrated. So that's why I didn't want to use my real name when I was practicing as a psychic, because I am a lawyer. So because there's so much stigma that is yet still attached to being a psychic. People either think you're crazy or you're doing voodoo or something like that. So I wasn't, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I wasn't yet ready to just kind of completely come out and let everybody know that I was also practicing psychic.
Okay. So you've talked to me about Ganesh. Actually, Ganesh is a Hindu god, talking to you, and now too.
Yeah. Yes, he's smiling right now.
I'm sure he's telling you you're doing a good job, and everybody's listening. Tell me otherwise.
No, he is. He's standing right behind me, actually. He's always standing right behind me. Yeah.
Can I relate this to Sixth Sense, or is that something completely different? The movie that Bruce Willis had with the young boy.
Okay,
or is it different?
I saw the movie long time ago. I vaguely remember it. I think that child, the little boy, was more of a medium. Mediums aren't always psychic, and psychics aren't always mediums.
Good,
but
thank you for letting me know.
They are both. Mediums are people who can, and I'm also a medium, who can see and talk to people and spirits who have crossed over on the other side. So basically dead people. So that is what mediumship is. And psychic is being able to channel divine beings. And there is a difference because they're on different planes. There's a divine realm, and then there's a lower plane for souls who have crossed over. So they're all on different planes, yes.
Have you ever said no to any reading? And
Yes.
And why?
Just because somebody asked me for a reading does not mean that I need to give them a reading. Just because it was energetically, they were a very low vibration energy, and it wasn't something that I wanted to do a reading for. And my guides, and sometimes they won't let me do a reading for somebody, yeah.
Very nice. Thank you so much for enlightening us with that information. To piggyback on what you said, Andrea, let's go to the vibrations. She talked about low energy, low vibrations and high vibrations. Do you use the concept of chakras in your methodology of treatment? And apart from that, the other question I have is sometimes I hate to be judgmental. I cannot be judgmental. No friends, no enemies. I just feel everybody's good to me. But I think each of us face the energy when we face certain people or certain things. We just, from a smiling face, it becomes to a completely frowning face. I don't want to claim that person is negative energy, so does that mean that person is a low vibration energy to my high vibration? And I might be someone like that for someone else. So can you talk about that, how not to be judgmental, but to realize and recognize some might be of low energy and to might be not, I don't want to say stay away, to probably to overcome such energies?
Sure. To answer your first question with regards to the chakras, I don't use the chakra system in my practice. I practice Reiki as it was brought from Japan to Hawaii. They are simple hand placements on your body. I start at the head and it goes down the torso. The introduction of chakras, Reiki, once coming to the US, it's a very diverse practice now, and the metaphysical community has picked it up, and it exists a lot in yoga studios, hence the knowledge of chakras coming in. The practitioners will use that knowledge in their sessions. I personally do not. I practice in a present but detached way, and I'm not trying to force an outcome. A lot of practitioners, especially with categorizing Reiki as energy healing, they try to look for energy blockages or something like that. I come from my thought process with it is that Reiki, a treatment of Reiki is balancing to the system. So it will do whatever it needs to do to help bring your system to balance. So that's how I practice Reiki. As far as your second question with low vibrations, that's, we are all different frequencies. We are all different, unique individuals. And if there's something telling you that you don't want to jive with this person, you have to honor that. And it's not, you don't have to judge or jump to conclusions as to why. It can just be as it is.
Is that called an intuition, or?
It can be.
Okay.
It's that, intuition, your inner knowing that guides you.
So respect the intuition or the inner knowing. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Andrea. Yes.
I didn't answer your question about spirit guides.
Yes.
Do you want me to answer it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I overlooked her question about spirit guides. So spirit guides, we all have spirit guides. We were born with them. They've been with us since we came down. We have a life guide, we have a protector guide, we have a career guide, we have a health guide, and they are always guiding us and taking care of us. And we also have angels around us. All of us have our own angels who take care of us. It is our guides who help us through our life, especially our protector guide. And she mentioned Ganesh is my protector guide. Your protector guide never leaves you. He's always with you. And I can tell you, he's standing right behind me. Sometimes spirit guides can be ancestors that we may have never even known way back in our lineage that have ascended to spirit guides, because spirit guides are divine beings. They are of God, divine beings. And sometimes they are angels, and sometimes they are people that we never knew that have ascended, and sometimes they are deities and gods. I can say Lord Shiva is, he is my career guide. He is the one that governs my career because, as you know, Lord Shiva is heavily associated with justice. Him and his consort Parvati, she's also one of my guides, so they both help me with different areas of my life. I also work with heavily with the archangels. The Archangel Michael is also my junior protector guide. I work with the Archangel Michael a lot, and the Archangel Raphael. So the whole point of spirit guides being with us is to raise our vibration. And the thing is that we are so trained since we are so young as children to live in the 3D physical realm that we live in that's very tangible. We aren't used to talking to the divine and talking to our guides. And they want us to talk to them because it makes it easier for them to work with us. Once we open up that channel and start having a conversation with our spirit guides, it makes it a lot easier for them to work with us. And the more you meditate and the more spiritual we get, we can start to hear them. You don't have to be psychic to be able to get messages from your spirit guides. If you have a problem or you're torn on making a decision, just ask them. Just say, please help me with this decision. And probably within a few hours or a day or so, you'll know the answer. And we all have that. What Nazira raised as intuition, that's our spirit guides. That is them talking to us and helping us and giving us the answer. But it makes it a lot easier for them. It opens up that channel when we can start believing that they're there and opening up that energy.
Great, thank you. So you're telling me each one of us sitting here has three spirit guides.
We have more than 3. Yes, every single one of us have spirit guides because we are all born spiritual beings. Every single one of us, no matter what bad things that people do or that we do as people, every single one of us came down here and incarnated on this earth as spiritual beings. All of us. So we all have spirit guides. Everybody has spirit guides.
But are those fortunate who are able to connect with them? Because I think some just leave the world without even connecting.
That's true.
Okay, so you're telling us meditate, talk to your, do you have a comment? Okay, so you're saying meditate, take that time to connect with your intuition and your spirit guides.
Yes,
Connect within.
Yes, and I want to make this point with respect to meditation. Prayer is when we are talking to God. Meditation is when we are listening to God. So that is why meditation is so important. And I think it's scientifically been proven. I'm not a doctor, but I believe it has scientifically been proven that meditation actually changes your brain chemistry. So that is science.
Great. I'll come back to you, Ruchi. So Dr. Saravanan, you are also American Board Integrative Holistic Medicine certified or a diplomat? Diplomat. American Board of Integrative Holistic Medicine. That's so awesome because you're holistic, you're integrative. It's very hard to see a cardiologist who does all these 3 together. So congratulations. And we know medications, there's a cost. We know this medicine cures this disease. If the patient doesn't take, we make sure we reiterate why it's important. But also having the body, mind, and soul aligned is important, as I'm sure you are learning that in your integrative holistic medicine course. How do you establish that doctor-patient relationship to better cure them by not just giving the medicine to them? I know you spoke about it briefly, but we want you to tell us in details.
Sure. I think.
And why did you choose to do this diplomat?
It's kind of, to me, it's more of an exploratory behavior. I'm kind of curious about a lot of things, and I just started doing this 7 or 8 years ago, and then the diplomat exam came in, so like many times you need to get certified for somebody to listen, right? Otherwise they won't listen to you. So that's the thing. So it's exactly one of those reasons. And the main thing I would say is like to even call integrative medicine, it's, to be honest, a misnomer. Like I think every medicine is integrative. Like so every time you go, even to the best allopathic physician, they want to talk to you about diet and lifestyle. So that itself becomes an integrative medicine. So I grew up in India where kind of integrative medicine is like what we grew up with. Like your grandma comes and says, hey, don't eat this when you get this. So they're all were there before. So it's kind of, I have to say, I think I watched a lot of things between Eastern and Western philosophy. When you come to the West, you have to give a name to certain things. Like, so you have to give this certifications, name, and that's how the integrative medicine came up, because medicine has been integrative right from the day it was invented or discovered, or however you call it. Like, so it's never a day when medicine was not integrative. And my kind of thing to even take that exams and become certified and things is to serve as a bridge between the communities. Like, I work with a lot of alternative medicine physicians in India. Actually, last 2 weeks ago, we had a good gathering and a conference there where we all sat at one table and answered public's questions. So there's a lot of egoistic thing goes between these two communities. And the one that suffers is, to be honest, the patients, which I'll become one of them. And so that's one of the reasons. And to to be honest, I didn't know what I was getting into when Nazira called me and asked me to come into the panel. Then I got the call from my colleagues. I'm getting the heat from them. So Monday when I go back, I was just thinking, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of heat from them. And actually, my son said to me when he left, hey, make sure that you ask the astrologer about your work because it looks like you're not going to stay in your work for a long time. It's 15, that's what.
But we appreciate you still coming and keeping your word.
To me, I think it's more of my passion and everything. So to answer your question, so for the patient, when they come in, like when they come in pain and everything, they don't come and say, like, doc, I want my pain to get better with this medication. They come and say, I want my pain to be better, or I want to be healthy, or my cholesterol needs to be better, or I had a heart attack, I don't want to have another heart attack. They never come and tell me, like, you have to treat me with this medication based on your training or anything. So I look at the patient, and then when you talk to them, they'll open up. Most of them will be already seen somebody or experienced something, or taking a supplement, or going to the website and buying it. All those things are happening already. So it's very easy if you just talk to the patient and ask them what is their belief and what are they doing already. And to me, it's obviously do no harm is the first thing. So many of this, I'm open to this. If somebody says for them the crystal resonance therapy worked better, that's fine. They're not going to get killed by a crystal stone, so just go and do it. The same thing, somebody's going to strangle with a Reiki or something, go and do it. We do far more things that are harmful to patients than many of these things. So to me, my simple thing is if it's not going to hurt you, and if you can afford it, just try it out. Like it's nothing to lose there. So I do the same thing too. So to patients, I think most of the time, the modern medicine is fairly easy because there are only certain things we do, and there are a lot of tests we can go with. The toughest part of this is the mind-body medicine, and this has become a big word nowadays. Like wherever you go, you see these posters of mind-body medicine, mindfulness, and this has been there for like thousands of years. So suddenly somebody discovered this and putting it on posters and this and that, so it's coming up. But it's like the truth. Like the truth has been there for all the time, and people are trying to discover it. So to answer your question, it's very easy if you just talk to the patient and ask them what their belief is. If they go to a church and pray or a temple and pray, we never ask a question, why do you go to the temple and pray? There's no evidence for praying the same way. Like if you believe in it, if you do it and it's not harmful to you, just go and do it. That's the...
So there's a lot of young people suffering from heart attacks. Do you think anything like stress has anything to do with it, or is it heart failures that has nothing to do with your daily life?
Without a doubt, I think there's lots of evidence based on every research, is like stress is one of the commonest reasons for this. We come across cholesterol and everything, but there are so many heart attacks that happen in people who have a normal cholesterol, normal everything, normal genes and everything. So we call it a name stress, but that could be an imbalance. Sometimes if you go to the traditional medicine, the Chinese or Ayurvedic or Siddha medicine, they'll call more often body imbalance or energy imbalance on top of that stress. The nutrition forms the foundation for many of those things. So I think if you get your nutrition right first, many of those things will get right. And then comes balancing your energy and things. But none of us are trained in the 15 years or 15 to 18 years of training and never got training in nutrition or finding out what their energy and everything is. So if you don't know something, just send it to somebody that knows about it. So that's what I do, is like send to people. I'm kind of a more proponent of a plant-based diet and things like that. So it's a good community that's growing up, plant-based diets, and then the mindfulness-based stress reductions. So these are things that are available to us nowadays. So I kind of send to them, but it's without a doubt, I think even all the scientific community will agree that stress is there. How they measure stress nowadays, they call a little bit on the inflammation. Stress and inflammation goes well together. The cholesterol was a buzzword for many years. Now you will hear more about inflammation. So the more inflammation you have, the more likely that you may get a heart attack or a stroke or Alzheimer's. So a lot of things are being focused on reducing inflammation. Of that, two things would come to is food and your mind, state of mind. So that is, I think they've proven without doubt that stress has a big role.
So thank you so much for reiterating that we have to take course for reducing everyday stress. I think probably living in the moment, when we go through a lot of stress, to actually just pause I think someone today in my email I read, our life has, I think one of us has become just about cooking, raising kids, bring them to college, and then at the end it's like, okay, what was the life about? So I remember many, many years ago, and I don't think my kids know about it, and when I was having personal family problems, so my dad is like, this is not my daughter. She's not my daughter. Something has taken over her. Someone has taken over her. He took me to a temple. I think what do you say in English? Evil. I don't know if you guys understand what I mean, but they're driving the devil away in you, right? So he literally took me that, and believe me, I was a doctor already then. So respecting him, I went with him. He took me to the small temple in some village near Dindigul, near my hometown, way rural area. And this temple guy makes me change my outfit and throw that outfit, burn that outfit that I was already wearing. And then he sort of ties me here to another god, and then he's like, he's saying the mantra. And however, but then even after 1 month, I was still the same. so still the adamant same thing. I said, I'm sure what I want in my life. And then my dad is like, that person wasted all our money. She hasn't changed. The devil is still in her. So just going to say, I feel I still love my dad, but just some of the belief might be, I don't know. I mean, just some things to learn. I just wanted to put it out there. So, Catherine, my next question is for you. How do you communicate really bad stuff to people that you see on their charts? And sometimes it could be very nasty, right? And do you look at your own chart? How often do you look at it? And what are some good questions that you ask when a person comes for their first reading?
Okay.
Can you use the mic?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I do look at my chart. I do not look at it compulsively. I look at my chart to, if I need to make a decision about something, is this a good direction for me to go in, or is this, a lot of what I do is also timing. So is this an appropriate time? As well as just if I'm looking at the moment, what can I learn from the moment? What is the texture of the moment, and how can I best make use of that potential? As far as giving bad news to my clients, I think I've mastered diplomacy. And to me, it's important to be gentle with my clients and to help them understand, that as we probably all know, life is not a bed of roses, but we have challenges, we have lessons that we need to learn. And so if a person is dealing with a challenging moment, sometimes I think we tend to define it as good or bad, but there's always the beauty in a moment. I remember Leonard Cohen's son was interviewed, and he was asked, well, how did your father deal with the fact that his manager stole all his money? And he said, well, that on the surface that doesn't look favorable, but what happened was he went back to work and writing music, and so some of the most beautiful music was written as a result of this so-called bad event. So I think it's important to couch it and to understand that it may be a challenge, but if you look back on it, you can appreciate how you've grown and what you've gained from those difficult circumstances. So that's the way I approach my clients. In terms of when they come to me, my first question to them is always, well, I tell them what is most important to me is that you get as much out of this consultation as you possibly can. So tell me why you're here. What questions do you have? How can I be of help to you? And I always tell them, if you ask me a question for which I don't think I can give you an answer, I will tell you that. I'm not going to lie, but I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. At least I hope I do. And so, so it's easy to get through the good times, but the difficult times are challenging. And so whether it's a plus or minus of your nature, or understanding the nature of somebody that you're dealing with, family member, partner, what have you, understanding what is the lesson that they're learning, and how can you contribute to their well-being, because it will be reciprocal at some point.
Sure. So I might be ignorant in asking you this question. Maybe the audience can answer me better. Do you do birth charts? Like, I think in India they do, as soon as the baby's born, they have a horoscope. Do you do that in astrology?
Well, that's what the birth chart is. The birth chart is it is essentially, it's a snapshot of the heavens at the moment of birth, and astrologers, we tend to talk about it as sort of a blueprint or a roadmap of your life. So if you understand what you've already accomplished in other lifetimes, and therefore what you bring with you in this lifetime that you can work with, but also understand where are you going to get fulfillment. And so if you have an understanding of that, then you can move forward. So yes, the natal chart, the birth chart or the natal chart is where were the planets sitting when you were born. But it's sort of like throwing a pebble in the pond, or planting a seed. There's going to be a reflection of that moment. So I do an analysis of the chart, but then I also look at, of course, what is going on right now, and what kinds of trends are coming up in the future, and how best to utilize them.
I believe my dad has done one for me. I haven't seen it. I've never done, I think, based on my scientific background and being a doctor practicing medicine and doing forensic medicine and understanding how meiosis and mitosis and reproduction and baby birth happens. I've not done it. Do you think I should consider one? Because I'm sometimes scared. I don't want to know. I want to take challenge as it comes. I don't want to know. Then the maza chala jata hai, jaise they say in Hindi, it will go away. Because you know what's going to happen next. You know when you're going to leave the earth. So do you think am I at a better advantage, or the person who knows the chart is at better advantage?
I think it's up to you whether you want to know. Astrologers have the saying of forewarned is forearmed. If you know that it's going to rain, you take an umbrella. If it rains and you don't have the umbrella, you're going to get wet. So you suffer the consequences. Maybe you like getting wet, so that's okay. I would also like to add, and this is absolutely no reflection on your background whatsoever, but Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said, any doctor who has no knowledge of astrology has no right to call himself a doctor. And I read that quote within the first maybe 2 or 3 years of my studying astrology, probably within the first year. I was so dumbfounded and taken aback by that quote. And I think after that, it motivated me to study even more, because I could not comprehend how that could be. And astrology is mathematical, and it is scientific, yes. and it is measurable. And it's not the idea that the planets are doing something to you. We are part of the universe. We are part of the planets are part of us. So it's understanding what is the nature and what is the purpose. And I probably get the most upset when clients say, Mercury is retrograde and therefore I can't do this, that, and the other. I mean, come on, the world doesn't stop because a planet is doing something. There's a purpose for that. And so if we understand, how we can best use that energy, more power to us, literally.
Very nice. You opened up my mind. Probably I'm going to try one of these days in getting my natal chart.
And most astrologers don't bite.
Okay. Okay. So Ruchi, my next question is to you. We have 15 more minutes to finish one more set of questions for all of us. So Ruchi, sometimes the pursuit of happiness, what we do every day, I want to be happy. If I do this, destination happiness might be the next job, might be the next house, might be the next car will make me happy. And that makes us unhappy, just pursuing that. How do you tell people to live in the moment? How does a person live in the moment? Do you suggest that we should just give ourselves some time, and that means no books, no television, no internet, nothing, because sometimes solitude gives you all the answers.
And you have the answer right there. Solitude, meditation definitely takes you into your inner space to connect. So when happiness comes from detaching yourself from the world, people, and actually going into inner space and connecting with the divine, which each of us is connected, whether we are aware of it or not. So if you can be in the eye of a hurricane, then you are observing what is happening to you, and you're actually learning and upgrading yourself. You're upgrading yourself at every moment if you can stay in the eye and observe what is happening, and then you can truly be connected to happiness, because experiences and people are not taking, or things are not taking away your happiness. So meditation brings us to a point of centeredness where we're connected to the nourishment we receive from the Mother Gaia, that is the earth, the planet, as well as also connecting with the angelic realms, as Aarti said, because the support system is there for each of us. We all are psychic. We are not just aware of it. Our gut feel, our sixth sense, our intuition is the angels talking to us. However, we disregard it because of a logical mind. And unfortunately, education has brought us to the point that we are more logical oriented, critical thinkers. So what happens is that sixth sense or the gut feel we disregard when we play a logic game in our mind. When we fine tune ourselves, then we hear more. Then we actually can hear, be clear audience. So each of us can actually develop those. We are already born with those gifts. It's whether, and our belief into that, sometimes you can get a shake and wake up call like I got, and many others connect with it. Others can slowly grow into it. So I'm like, we all are spiritual beings. We all are spirit into a body, and the divine spark exists in each of us. There is nobody on earth who is a better miracle worker than the other. The miracle worker is within us, and that is the divine spark. As we shed our ego, and meditation helps to do that, as we disconnect with our ego, as we detach from the world and become an observer, then we actually walk in the journey of spiritual awakening. And that's like connecting with the divine within us. And that is the best guidance with which you can work, because it shows us a roadmap. And we all can then hear God, we can see things, we can actually connect with our life meaning and purpose. And for some, it could be being a doctor, being a teacher, and I actually am a computer science engineer by profession. However, I never felt connected to it. I was restless. And my journey in life and the shake-up call I got connected me. I would never have believed 20 years ago that I would be walking my journey, where I can hear God in my heart. I believe everything which Aarti was telling. I use crystal resonance in my work. I have so much respect for astrology. My parents got an natal chart done for me, and I was like, I don't believe in all this. It was me 20 or 25 years ago. But I couldn't disregard the experiences which were different happening to me. And I shed that denial and started accepting. And as I started accepting, the voice I hear within is, we all have that. If you're doing something wrong, we hear within. This is not right. That is being psychic. That is being able to hear our angelic guides. So it is somebody sparking that in us. We can disregard it. That would be the ego. So I'm like, we have to just give it more value than we actually do. And we have to create a space. And meditation for some could be dancing. Meditation for some could be running. Meditation for some could be listening to music. Everybody connects with the angelic realm in different ways. For some could be a modality. For some it could be guided meditation. So you cannot define meditation. You have to find what centers you, what makes you be in the moment, and fine tune that for yourself. For me, it is listening to music. As soon as I listen to music, within a couple of minutes, I'm meditative. Because for my work, I have to be meditative to be able to do my work. So it is music, and 3 times I chant Om, and I'm in my space. So each of us have to find what grounds us, what fine tunes our sixth sense, our intuition, and then actually work on it. So some people it could be running, some people it could be gardening. That is where you hear the divine in your heart. You have to find your tool to connecting with the divine, your tool to be grounded to Mother Gaia, which is earth, nourishing you and supporting you in your journey.
So now I know, after listening to you all, I know I've not listened to my spirit guide many times. I'm a Leo, and imagine the ego in a Leo, August born, that many times I've got this intuition not to go on that road because there's been a traffic. I'm like, I want to go and try. I want to take that risk, and it happened, and then I get a feeling like, aha, I told you so. So I need to listen to.
But there is no right and wrong about it. Everything is teaching you. As long as you take every experience as a learning ground, what is it showing me? If I'm getting irritated, and I'd heard Pastor Joel Osteen speaking about it, if I'm stuck in a traffic jam, I have a lot of space to talk, do my inner talk, be meditative, or I can be irritated because of the traffic. So, and if I'm getting irritated, that's a weakness in me. I need to work on it. I need to get rid of, because I can't control the situation, but I can definitely control my reaction to it. So every situation and every person is only mirroring us back. What is it that needs work within ourselves? Nobody needs to change. They are reflecting to us what we need to change within that. And if we start learning from those situations, and if somebody is doing something and I'm perceiving pain, why are you perceiving pain? What is it? It could be it's a painful scenario. Somebody's done some act which is not right. But what am I supposed to learn from it? I need to understand that the person is different. I need to feel forgiveness. How can you learn forgiveness if you have not given a practical test for it? Being connected to beautiful things. I love being forgiving. Is very easy. Life always tests you and what you believe in.
Sure.
So when it brings about a test, can you step up to feeling it? And every time you cross one step, if you give class 2 exam, grade 2 exam, you will be tested at a grade level 4. The practical tests come, and they're a reflection of what theoretically you believed in, and whether you can actually put it into practice.
Sure.
So our job is to put it into practice
Very
and
nice.
learn what we need to learn from every step.
Very well said, Ruchi, and we appreciate your courage, and we wish you all the best,
Thank you.
for all the endeavors and putting all the struggles behind. And thank you so much
I'm
for
grateful
bringing
for
that.
all my struggles, because I am here speaking to you all only because of that. So I'm grateful for every experience I've had. Had I not experienced that, I would be that IT professional working, and I have a lot of regard for that. In fact, that actually helps me in my work, because I always, when I'm facilitating clearings, I'm always thinking out of the box.
Sure.
What is it that I could have missed is what I attack, the loopholes in my work.
Very
So
nice.
actually that logic part of it assists me so beautifully, because there was a question with God for me, why did I become an IT professional when finally my life meaning and purpose was this? And it was because it really helps me extremely well in the critical thinking skills I get from that helps me with the work I do.
Very nice, thank you. So the next steps are, Sai, one final question to you, and then Kate, and then we'll open up to the audience for questions, and then around 6:05, we're going to give it a few minutes, two or 3 minutes break, and then we'll all come back for the, if everybody can sit down here, and we all can sit for the meditation. Sadhguru will do one, and you will do one for 10 minutes or 15 minutes each. My question to you is, do you think as a society, as a global society, we are lacking compassion? Have you been accused of caring too much? And when is the best time to meditate? And one question was asked by a registrant when they registered for this session was, what is the best method of practice for kids for healing?
Oh, thank you. Lacking compassion. Don't think so. Again, like I said earlier, there's so much going on, so much news. There's everything, every day we hear something that, makes us feel bad. But then you also hear so much about if somebody is walking 8 miles to work every day, and then you can see 1,000 people contribute to a Change Me, and then the next day the person gets a car, right? So people are compassionate. It's just we don't see that every day, and we just think that people are, not doing anything. So definitely there is compassion. So that definitely it's there. I strongly believe in that. And then
have you been accused of caring too much?
Definitely not. You should ask my wife that question. She thinks I have no emotions, but so definitely. She takes care of everything, and I'm there to stay detached from taking an emotional decision and guide, and then I get questioned like, how could you say that? So definitely not. And then
what is the best time to meditate?
The best time would be obviously the morning, right, when you wake up. Now, the industry, media, magazines, and what we see, and they all sometimes mislead us, right? When we think of meditation, immediately you visualize somebody sitting in a perfect, lotus pose, and have maybe wearing a rudraksha or something and sitting perfectly and meditate. That's the image that we get. And then when we think about, hey, do you do yoga? And then immediately we say, no, I don't. I'm not flexible. I cannot do this. Because the image that is given to us as somebody doing yoga has their leg up their neck. You know what I mean? So we are fed that kind of image. And then there is a terminology about mindfulness, right? Mindfulness meditation. And then again, that looks like something, a big jargon that's thrown around, and everyone is like, what is it? Can I do it? I don't even know what that is. Now, it's all about connecting, right? About when it comes to mindfulness, just be aware what you're doing. As simple as that. Now, I and my wife, we walk all the time. We walk around the neighborhood. We want to, exercise in the best use of the summer, spring, fall. Winter, you go to a gym and something like that. But when you go for a walk, we spend 15 minutes to walk around the neighborhood, and then probably 49 minutes she'll be talking about kids. She'll be talking about, her exam, that's coming, this is coming. What do we do about this? And I'll be like, can you not talk about the kids when we are walking around the neighborhood? Let's just be here. Let's see what's going on here. Let's walk. Now, we try not to connect to what we do, right? When you walk around, just see what's happening to your feet. You're stepping one at a time, just walking. Just be aware of your legs moving, your hands moving. Just be there in the road and in a walk, right? I mean, if you can connect in your drive, most of the time we are not there, we are driving. Because we know how to drive. We no longer think about indicators or anything. We just drive. You have robots, right? So just be there. And that's all it is, mindfulness. And then meditation, meditation again there is no strict rule that you have to do a meditation in a particular way. There is always a beginner way, and then there is a way that you adapt to it. The beginner way is to build a discipline. right? If you don't have a discipline, you're not going to do it. You're not going to repeat it. You're not going to make that into a habit. So if I want to build anything into a habit, the way I recommend my students is, if you want to meditate, allocate a time, right? I'm going to do meditation at 6 a.m. in the morning. As soon as I wake up, I'm going to drink some water, walk around, and then I'm going to find a comfortable piece, probably before my kids wake up, the way I'm not bothered, and find a same place. I want to go to the same location. That is my meditation spot. That's how you build a discipline. And then I'm going to sit there for 10 minutes. I'm a beginner. I'm a beginner's mind. I'm not a mature, I'm not a perfect meditationist. So when I start meditation, I want to begin with just 3 minutes of a meditation, not 25 minutes, right? We have a monkey mind. It never stays in the same place. Start with 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Start building it up. Breathe. All you have to do is breathe. And maybe close your mind, close your eyes, or just focus on a little candle. And, just try to build concentration, focus on breathing. That's meditation. And then make that 3 into a 5 minutes, into a 10 minutes if you can. Now you no longer have to attach to sitting to do a meditation. Now you can walk and meditate. Now my morning meditation has been while making tea. There's a walking meditation. You can have a guided meditation that guides you when you walk, how you be mindful about that. So so you can adapt meditation into a routine that you do, like she was saying, music, right? Listen to music, and that's a meditation. There's a transcendental meditation, music meditation. Many people, many CEOs of the companies, they talked about how that has helped them. So it's all about that. The start habit starts walk before you run. Let me end it there.
What's the best modality of healing for kids? That was one of the questions asked.
Kids, it's concentration. There's this. It's reducing amount of distraction and giving them the discipline of the focus, concentration. All that comes from being able to get the discipline of focusing on things, and that focus comes from meditation, right? So it all comes down to that, and the younger the age is the perfect time to build some discipline into them. So just 2 minutes, and then the gratitude is another important thing, right? Very important to have the gratitude. So let them think about writing 2 things that they are thankful for the end of the day. My teacher did this to me. My friend in the classroom did this to me. So that 1 or 2 things, what you're thankful for today, right? That gratitude and adding a little meditation, those are the ways. You can tune in their life into a well-disciplined way.
I get more of those gratitude notes just before Christmas. Kate, so from my kids, yeah. So Kate, do the closing comments for us if you can. How do you feel the energy in this room, and how do you think we should take it from here? And then we'll open up for questions.
Well, I feel like this has been such a positive evening, and we've heard so many good things and so many ways that we can start to try to integrate our own spiritual practice and maybe try some of these different healing modalities through meeting with maybe a psychic or an astrologer or a Reiki practitioner, or someone such as myself that...
And not a cardiologist.
Yes, so not a cardiologist, yeah. Stay away from the cardiologist. No. Go to your doctor, go to your cardiologist. But ways to integrate, maybe I was coming to that, I just hadn't gotten to that yet. So integrate these ways, and then also integrate it into your own health care, such as going to your cardiologist or medical practitioner. But I feel like this has just been a real positive evening for us, and thank you so much for being such a wonderful moderator. You've really brought out the best and made everything so relaxing and fun for everybody, I believe. And so let's just all go home. And the one thing that I felt like was a common thread in pretty much everyone's, and I'm sure you would agree as a cardiologist as well, that meditation is a very important for all of these different disciplines. So that seemed to me to be a takeaway message would be start with meditation, see how you can integrate that into your spiritual practice, and then think about, trying some of these other things, because I know any one of us would be happy to work with you in the future.
Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank all the panelists for taking their precious time out to come out this Saturday, and all of you for being here. We'll take, just for the interest of time, I know we did start 10 minutes late, but we'll take 2 or 3 questions if there is from the audience, and then we'll break for a couple of 3 minutes if anybody wants to get chai or just stretch your legs, and then we'll have a heartfulness Sat come in and do the first 10 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes we'll close out with Sai's yoga. What do I call it? Yoga?
We'll be teaching some pranayamas.
Pranayamas, yes. We'll do the
meditation, breathing practice.
Pranayamas, and then also know that there is a kitchen service just across the hall. So if you all want to grab dinner, please do so there as well. And of course, the room is open, so we all can still continue to network. Questions? I think Anil ji, and then Manish ji. Okay, so 4 questions. So we'll take only 4 questions, and please know that the panelists are still here, so you can still ask them questions. Anil ji, Manish ji, Amber, Priya. Okay, 4 questions. Thank you.
Hi, wonderful session. So my name is Anil Bhargav, and generally I get the privilege of speaking and asking questions first with my name that starts with A. And because I'm so dumb, I have to ask questions.
And you're our loyal attendee as well.
Thank you. So for those of you that have background and heritage from India, the practice of this science has been going on for, if not centuries, many, many centuries, thousands of years. How does the practice differ here versus the traditional practice in India? And I had a 2-part question. The second part is, when you attach commercialism to this practice for monetary gains, is there certain amount of conflict of interest, if you may call it, or would someone be biased, say, hey, he's making money off me, so he better tell me all the good and not the negative? Something along those lines. Is there a conflict of interest? Thank you.
So we'll have 1 or 2 people answer this question, but we won't take too long to answer. Who wants to do it? Catherine? But I don't know if maybe you can answer the second part.
Yes.
And the first part, someone else who's, okay.
Yeah, the part I want to answer is about the difference. For example, yoga as a practice in India versus how it is. In West, they always want to make it well presented, right? So it's a presentation that matters. And then it is also how I can make it into a business. Money matters, right? Again, if you just take yoga, yoga is yoga, right? So if you go to India and you want to go and practice yoga, somebody will teach you Patanjali yoga, a set of asanas they will teach you. If you come to West and then try to want to learn yoga, then you go and look at a studio name. That may be Hatha Yoga, it may be Hot Yoga, it may be
Goat yoga.
Bikram Yoga.
Beer?
Yeah, well, I don't want to go
No,
there.
there is a beer yoga.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's a pub, right? You go to a pub.
Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry. Okay.
So yeah, there's so much. So my suggestion would be to start. Obviously, if you're trying to get into something new, you don't know what you're getting into. You want to talk to somebody who is practicing that, right? So learn from somebody else who has been practicing for some time. Understand as a beginner where you want to start. and what aligns to your personality. Do I want to go directly join into a goat yoga is not a yoga by itself. It's just practicing yoga in the presence of a bunch of goats, right? And then they jump over you when you do a particular asana, or they just sit next to you. It's some therapeutic, right? Some people like it, nothing wrong with it. But so if you're practicing yoga, want to learn, talk to somebody who has been practicing, find what will suit your personality. You're a beginner, what's your age? Should I go directly jump into a hot yoga, or should I go to a hatha yoga? All right, so that's how I would approach that. Business is business. People have to make money. Running a studio is very expensive. There are so many ways. Any of those alternative for that matter. There are so many people who want to sell it low, sell it high. So you want to go with the reputed who are doing it really well. Everything costs money. So obviously we need to be able to afford to go through that, whatever the practice is.
Sure.
All right.
Catherine, the question was, Anilji, about commercialism, I think. Yeah. How is there a conflict of interest that they could say, you're taking money off of me, so only give me the good news?
Right, that's a very good question. So sometimes I make the analogy of a doctor or an attorney. If someone goes to a doctor, it's because there usually is an issue, or if they're going to an attorney, there is a problem. And so unfortunately, or fortunately, that is our job, is to help people. I tell my clients I give you as much information as I can in the time that we have available. So I don't take 5 minutes to say one word, but I tell them also, sometimes what I do is research. And so I tell them, I work as quickly as possible, so sometimes I'm doing research before the session, and I do build them for that, and they understand that. I don't think there's a conflict of interest. I think, but I also think that you get what you pay for, and I've appreciated over the years, my experience is worth something. I recently had a client who asked me, well, are you giving discounts for birthdays or this, that, and the other? And I said, I'm not getting less experienced, and so I have to value what my experience is. So, and I don't think my fees are exorbitant. And I know when I started off, I charged maybe $15 for a consultation. Of course, that was yesterday, and I was 2 years old. But I get to the point where I just say to myself, this is valuable, and I just feel that I get to a point where my time is more valuable. But I think very cautiously about it before I raise my rates. I know a woman that was a very, very gifted psychic who said, I raise my rates $5 a year. And so, everybody has their technique, but it's not about getting rich. It's if you're enriching your soul and you're enriching other people's lives, then I think it follows.
Great answer. Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so the one thing, especially with the yoga and everything, if you really look at it, this knowledge was given to us many, many thousand years ago. Like, it was never hidden or anything. People have written it in books. They've given it. The one thing I think we need to be is the grateful for the people that's given this to us. So people are making it commercial and things. And one of the Sadhgurus used to say that that's one way it's happened. Maybe it's good, because he usually says something if it happens in the Western world, even though it originated in the eastern part of it, people take it better. He brings in a good example of wearing a jeans. Who would buy a jean, tear it off and wear, and then the rest of the world all starts wearing a torn jeans. But one thing we should be aware is this knowledge was given many thousands of years ago, so at least express the gratitude and bow to them. We call them the sage scientists and everything. That's true knowledge. At least that amount of gratitude should be there. So commercialism is unavoidable at this day and age,
Right.
but at least we should show the
We
gratitude
can.
before.
Sure.
to end.
So, do you want us to start a petition this evening that you did really well here, so you can take it to your job on Monday?
No, that's
Are you
I know,
sure we can do that?
I know what's going to happen on Monday, so I can predict my future.
You're prepared. That's very well said. Thank you, Dr. Saravanan. Manish ji, go ahead. Thank you, Trey.
Hello. Thanks, Najira, for the wonderful session today. I think it was very interesting. My name is Manish Parikh, and I'm with my wife, Madhu, here. So, I had a very interesting read a few years before that I came across, and it relates to the little bit of astrological view of life, like tomorrow, versus the actual value of life that we all should understand and go through. What it said is that if today everybody in this world is told the date, time, and year that they will die, the world will be different from tomorrow. Because they will then understand, okay, clock is ticking, now they will act differently, they will behave differently because they know that. Even though they are not told, that fact still lies, right? So, because it is not told to us, we always live in a very subconscious and very illusionary fashion without even understanding. Even though everybody knows what is good behavior is, what are the do's and don'ts, as Dr. Saravanan said, that all these good things we know from 5,000 years. Why we are still struggling to adopt them and everybody understand the basic value of life spiritually or health or humanity perspective without having to tell us the date, time, and the year that when we will die.
Anyone? Takers? Ruchi? Yeah. Sure. Let's make it a 30 to 40 seconds and go to the next question. Yeah.
Well, I have to remind myself of that and give me a cue.
Okay.
So what I think is, I don't think any astrologer would ever tell you the date, time of your death. That no true astrologer will do that.
Not even a prediction of
because
a
you
year?
cannot
No?
predict somebody is going. It's a choice of a soul, and you're not supposed to. A true astrologer, and I'm sure that is what they are only going to guide you as to how to use the resource, what is a good timing for you to might be invest, for you to be a little careful about your health. I don't know much about astrology. However, this is exactly what a good true astrologer would do, is giving you guidance and being a little, taking some preventive, supposing there is a time where you could experience challenges, then being a little more careful, asking yourself 2 times before you do something. That's it. Taking more care and precaution. But telling when somebody is going to die, no human being is capable of that and should not, even if they can see, because at a free will, one can change it. And I'm an example of that because my parents got a natal chart done, and I one day got to see it. She had hidden it under the mattress. So when I saw it, there was written at the age of 47, emancipation. And it was, so for me, I know that in my spiritual journey, there were 2 times where I could have chosen to leave my body. That choice was there. However, there was a part of me still wanting to live. And I am 51 now. So I did cross. So at free will, we all come with the destiny. But when you change your fate into conscious choices, at free will, you can change anything. Even any prediction is done for a certain moment. Future is dynamic. There are many timelines into connecting to a different future. And it all depends on free will and your choices made in every moment of the now.
Sure.
So an astrologer can give you only a certain prediction, but you can change it at free will. You can take it as a guidance to fix the future through your free will choice.
Sure, and I would definitely add to that, Manishji. I think changing yourself and the change you want to see is how you should start within yourself, and forgiveness and being compassionate, practicing compassionate and love, and just the smiling, so don't show hatred to hate. Be who you are, that person who shows love. even to the hatred. I think that's where the change starts. So thank you for that question. I think Amber, and we need to make this quick. I don't want you all to leave before the yoga session. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amber, and thank you, Anil Bhai, for inviting us, me and my fiance. This is my very first time here. So my question is kind of in a way related to what was just talked about, but a little bit different. So anybody who resonates with the question can answer. My question is, so what makes it that some people find out about, like they really get in tuned and find out and have that awakening why they're on this planet and what they came to do, and what separates the people that keep meditating, that keep trying, but they don't get there in that lifetime? Is it ego that stands in the way, like it was kind of mentioned, or is it destiny, or is it, because there are many people that keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. They practice forgiveness, they do a lot of those things, but they don't get there. Is it because really at the end of the day they never really forgave in their hearts, or what is it that is ego or something else, destiny? I just want someone to kind of shed some light on that.
Is that Nile Amber Per? Yeah, okay, good. I'm gonna remember that name.
Yes, it's Amber with, yes, that's it.
So, do you want to answer?
I have a very short answer to that. I have a background in psychology, and one of my favorite professors had a saying, which was trying is lying. So, and he said, here's a pencil. I want you to try to pick up the pencil. And there's no such thing as trying.
I think I used the wrong word.
Okay, yeah, working at it. I think there is a point of succumbing or I guess detachment, surrender, and not feeling like you have to control it. So it comes in its own time.
And even might be that journey itself is awakening.
Oh,
because they're
absolutely,
looking for a
yes.
destination. There's no
Yes.
destination. That
Right,
journey
right.
is what you have to take in. That journey of what you've been trying to achieve is ultimately what life is about. There is no that's what I've learned. There is no destination. The moment that you're smiling today, I am. Today I am. What you see now is the truth. Tomorrow I don't know. Yeah? Anyone else?
And actually, I've worked with a client.
Go ahead, Ruchi.
I worked with a client who was, a couple of years junior. He was my brother's friend, and he reached out to me. He has a lot of knowledge on Vedas, very attached to wanting to hear God and wants nirvana and moksha. He wanted a clearing, I want to be able to, I am not attached to the worldly things, but he was attached to wanting moksha and nirvana. So, and I tried, so he said, can you facilitate a clearing for me? So I did it, and I gave him affirmations. That was a post-clearing prescription, that how do you, and the thing was surrender and detachment. So I was like, one of the affirmations was, I surrender to the process. And he told me the next time he met with me, I'm doing all the other affirmations, but I want it fast. So he was not doing the affirmation of I surrender to the process, because he wanted it fast. And attachment to even wanting God or experiencing God is
worldly attached is again.
It takes you away from your spiritual journey, because the journey is surrender. Journey is to let the process be, let it be, and come to you.
Very well said, Andrea.
Yeah, and I just wanted to comment that, healing and journeys are not linear. You might see someone and have that perception, oh, this person is over here, but you don't know what their path is going to be, and you don't know what your path is going to be. That all unfolds with your spirituality. And, I think, a lot of people talked about, how they connect with meditation, and to me, spirituality is finding the abode of your inner resources. So it can come in meditation, it can come from creating art or music. Reiki is another practice. So just honor where you are and don't look at anyone else and think, oh, this person's got it. Just let yourself unfold into it.
Very well said. Thank you. Dr. Saravanan, you're happy being here with us, right? just confirming. Priya.
Yeah, sure.
I know
I'm probably
I'm
the least
also
qualified to say this, but to answer that question, I think there's something called the or in Tamil. Like there's something that will happen when it need to happen. Like if you try to push hard something, it's not going to happen. And if you really believe in this incarnation, reincarnation, everything, some people say you may need 200 words to get those things. So I would say it's not going to be 30 days to this or 60 years to this. So just do it. If it happens, it happens. If not, you'll have another chance.
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Sarman. And Priya.
Hi.
There's the mic. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Priya, and my question is to Catherine. I was just wondering, in India, like the astrologers give us like a remedy of what to do if there is something wrong in our chart. What kind of process do you give? Like, do you give like a remedy? Like we normally have like going to the temples or doing some ritualistic practice. So what do you do here?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm not a Vedic astrology. I'm a Western astrologer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So how does that work here?
Yeah. So I don't know that I would. I'm not knowledgeable enough to recommend like a crystal or a ritual. But the way I would approach something like that is addressing the person's mindset.
Okay.
And what is it that you may need to let go of? What is it that you are? What are you? I guess what are you seeking? Even that's not quite, I guess, the right answer.
There's a block that you're unblocking.
Yeah. A lot of times it's what do you need to let go of? And I think so many times people have. There's an investment in holding on to something. It's secure. It's familiar. Even if it's not fun. We as humans, it's easy to just stick with where we are. And so sometimes I think it's giving yourself permission to let go or to move forward, or if through the chart, understanding what is the block. And once you integrate that into your being, then you can move forward.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
That helps.
Sure. So I definitely want to acknowledge my beloved mom and dad who adopted me. They've come all the way from South. Mom, can you thank you, Dad? Thank you. Thank you for coming all the way from South Fulton. I love you, and the grandkids are here, so we'll definitely meet soon. I want to thank all the panelists for being here. We'll just give it 1 minute break because of the time, and let's just get into some more relaxing with the real yoga. And Satji from Heartfulness, thank you so much for staying with us for this session. And let's get it to 10 minutes and then 10 minutes. Yeah? Okay, thank you so much, Trey. So we have Satji from Heartfulness, who's going to do a 15-minute meditation with us.
Yeah. Is it possible to dim the lights?
Yeah, can we dim the light? Can we actually switch? I don't know if we can dim. Maybe we can switch it off. Is it okay if we switch it off and the light from outside?
That's
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, before we get started, I just want to say a few words about Heartfulness. My name is Sat, and my wife and I are trainers in the Heartfulness program. We have been doing meditation for about 12 years. So Heartfulness is something that is really about close to 100 years old. It started as Sahaj Marg. One of the differences with our Heartfulness meditation is that we always have a living guide. So we have a living guide who is based in India. His name is Kamlesh Patel. We do have meditation sessions given in over 120 countries. We have more than 1,500 trainers. Here in the Atlanta area, probably we've got about 50 trainers or so. And our practice is usually given for free. It's really a purely voluntary organization. So everything is based on donation and voluntary work. So we all have full-time jobs. We all have responsibilities for the household. But we do carve out time to help humanity. And we really do serve humanity in a very free way, in a very willing way. And one can see very distinct benefits of our meditation. All we ask from the people is that they are over 16 years of age when they come for meditation, and they're willing to meditate. They're willing to give the time to it. We will be doing a very, very abbreviated session this evening because of shortness of time. Typically, this is about 30 to 40 minutes, but we will do a 15-minute meditation. And I will start by having a short relaxation. It's very important that our body is prepared for the meditation. So I will start by asking you to be seated in a very comfortable pose. I'll take you through a very quick 3-minute relaxation, and then we will get into meditation. So as I walk you through the relaxation process, you just follow the steps as I'm going through. And then when we finish the 3 minutes, I'll ask you to gradually bring your attention to the divine light which is in your heart. We talk a lot about connecting with ourselves. In heartfulness, we believe that there is an imaginary light in our heart that is really, you can say, our soul, our inner God, and we are constantly being pulled to that light, and that's why we use to do our meditation. So I'll ask you to bring your thought to that light in your heart, and I'll say, let's begin the meditation. So you get started, and you keep focusing on that light. If you do get drifted away with other thoughts, you gradually just bring it back. Don't fight any external thoughts. Treat them as uninvited guests. So bring your thought back to your light and just continue the meditation. And after about 15 minutes or so, I'll say that's all. And you can just take another 30 seconds or so to really think through your experience. And mentally jot them down, and then you can open your eyes. Okay? So I will start with the relaxation. After the relaxation, I will switch off the mic so that there's no disturbance. Okay? Okay, so relaxation. Please be seated comfortably. Imagine that the divine energy is flowing from Mother Earth through your feet. So starting with your toes, please feel that energy going through your feet. And as this energy is going through your body, it's gradually relaxing you, and you can feel that warmth going through to your ankles, to your lower legs, to your knees, going up to your upper legs, and to the hips. Just breathe normally, and you can feel that hips down, your lower body is getting relaxed. And we move that energy up to our abdomen. Breathe normally and feel that being relaxed. We go to the back, lower back. Feel the lower back muscles being relaxed. Let it go up your shoulders. Feel the tensions going away. Bring your thought back down your arms. So feel that energy going down your arms to your elbow, coming all the way down to your wrist, your palms, your fingers, all the way to your nails. So feel all everything down from your shoulders now being relaxed. Feel the calmness. Let's bring that thought back to your lower neck and feel the energy now relaxing the neck muscles. Let it go down to your jaws, to your mouth area, to your lips, up to your nose, your face, your eyes, your forehead, and to your head all the way to the top of your skull. Just rest there for a while, and you can scan your whole body to see that now you are in a very well prepared, relaxed state to start the meditation. Take a few deep breaths, and I'll ask you to very gently move your thought to that divine light in your heart. You don't have to try to pinpoint exactly where it is in your chest area. Just bring your attention somewhere where the pull will take you to, and just be focused on that light. As I say, let's begin, and stay there for the next 15 minutes until I say that's all. So let's begin. there's any questions or more about our meditation practice. Chaya and I are available to talk to you and give you whatever help you need, whatever guidance you need, whatever questions you have, we're here to help you.
So I thought this was the longest 15 minutes without my iPad or phone or the normal distractions of life. But as I went through the first few minutes and the phone rang, maybe 5% irritated, but then I said, this is heartfulness. I need to learn to be calm through the storm. So I think the second call didn't impact me. I went through it, I said, I can do it.
That's very good. That's very good. You know, in life there will always be distractions, disturbances. So in life there will always be these kind of disturbances, and they happen in a very unplanned way. I'm sorry, one of the things I was supposed to tell you is switch off your phone before we start the meditation, but I'm sorry, I forgot.
No, it's okay.
And it happens, but what we have to learn is how do we cope with those kind of distractions, you know. And in our practice, one very important thing is to know that, you know, we talked about the divine light, the soul, the, you know, inner connection. What happens is that very often we have got a lot of baggage in us. And that divine light, you can see, is like a core that is surrounded by grossness. You know, so there's layers and layers of grossness that we accumulate throughout the day. And these grossness are really as a result of how we react to things. You know, we talked about driving the traffic. You know, you mentioned about the old ladies or men driving ahead of you, and you're getting irritated. You may have some bad sessions at work. You may have had some bad sessions at home with your children doing homework or not doing homework or not doing well at school, your spouse, financial problems. A lot of these things happen in life. But the thing is, how do you cope with them such that you don't accumulate more and more baggage in your heart? And the other thing is, how do you clean that baggage? So in our Heartfulness program, the name itself is Heartfulness, so we are very much focused on the heart. So how do we clean the layers of grossness that you have? And this is where one of the aspects of our meditation is doing cleaning. So how do we go and clean that grossness layer by layer? And it takes time. One of the questions that was asked earlier is, how come some people can very easily get into meditation, other people take maybe months, maybe years before they can start feeling it, you know? It's because different people have different conditions. And one of the things that we as trainers do is when we start giving session, we try to read the person's condition, you know? We are all connected, you know, they are vibrational energy connected heart to heart. So we should be able to basically be connected to individually all of you as well as to the population as a whole, and be able to read those conditions and see how do we call transmit, how do we transmit this kind of divine energy such that it gradually starts destroying those layers of grossness until you can really reveal the inner God in you, and you can connect with that God, and eventually that God will speak to you. When you're at a crossroad, when you have difficulties, that inner God, which is your God, you don't have to go and search for God outside, it's in you, and that inner God will give you directions. You know, and really, it really happens in life, okay? But, you know, it's really a journey. You know, different people have different experiences. Some people, within months, they can already start seeing the benefits. Some people may take years. Everybody's journey is different. Because everybody is different, and everybody comes with different baggages, right? But the thing is to have faith, to have discipline, to have devotion, and really to have the ability to do it in an automated way. So just like you wake up in the morning and you brush your teeth, you go to the bathroom, as part of that ritual, you also have to allocate maybe 20 minutes to start with for meditation, right? And it becomes eventually automatic. If you don't do it one day, you don't feel good. It's that you didn't have breakfast in the morning, right? And so that's the meditation. And one of the questions was, what's the best time to meditate? In Heartfulness, the best time to meditate is before dawn, right? So you do your meditation, and then after that you can have your shower and go and do your work and all that. Okay. But that's very important to do that. And in the evening when you come from work, you do what we call a quick cleaning. So during the day, you have accumulated a lot of maybe bad experiences, maybe even good experiences. All these have an effect on the grossness in you. And how do you clean that? And then you clean that such that you're not constantly accumulating, but reducing that. And in the evening, before going to bed, you do a short prayer. And it's not a religious prayer. It's really prayer that the God is in you, and you're connecting to that God, and the God is going to help you move forward. And you go to bed with that thought. So in the morning when you wake up, that thought is already present in you, and your meditation becomes so much better.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome.
So we have Sai, 10 minutes. We'll finish the session with 10 minutes with Sai. And thank you, Sai, for staying with us. Thank you, Sanjit. Thank you.
All right.
Do you want the lights off?
No, that's fine. That's fine. We're going to do a breathing practice, pranayama, so that we are not redundant, repeating the meditation in a different way.
And they all can hear you.
Yeah, we're going to practice a few pranayama techniques, breathing techniques. So I'm going to start with a deep breathing practice called Dirgha Pranayama. This is also called three-part breathing. So normally when we just now breathing, right? That's a shallow, right? We don't think about breathing. You just in and out. With the three-part breathing, what we are trying to do is go for a deep breathing in and out, right? So the three-part, as in you're trying to inhale to the point that you're filling your lower abdomen, your rib cage, all the way to your chest and all the way here, right? So it's a deep breath, taking in all the way. You can feel your belly bloating up, and then reverse is basically you slowly, exhale the entire, right? So it's a deep in and deep out, and as simple as that. Let's try that out. You're going to be, again, you can sit comfortably. General recommendation for any meditation practice or breathing practice is to sit tall. You want to be comfortable, but sit tall so that your spine, you don't want to be rounding your back, right? That is a no-no for meditation in general. You don't want to be leaning against something. So this is a channel of energy. The spinal cord, when we talk about the chakras, the kundalini, that is the line of communication, right? That's the path through which the chakra rises up in awakening practice. So sit tall if you're meditating or doing a breathing practice. And then once you're sitting tall, you want to draw the chin back, and that's your posture, right? I mean, you could be seated on a chair. If you're seated on a chair, make sure you're grounding your feet down on the earth, right? Place it down. Don't keeping it crisscross or anything like that. Just place it down, right? Ground it. Now for the three-part begin, take a deep breath in all the way, fill it to the lower abdomen. And then exhale all the way out. Breathe in. Breathe out. You can place one of your hand on the lower abdomen to feel your belly, big, and then going down. Expansion and contraction. Now, this is in a stressful situation, or somebody having an anxiety attack, or somebody is stressed out because they have to go and present something or get on a call and do something. Anything that is a stressful situation, a good deep breath in and out couple times will calm you down. If you are doing a really intense cardio activity or something like that, and your heart rate is so high, that this pranayama technique is a wonderful way to calm yourself down, bring your heart rate down. All right. The second one I'm going to teach you is called, very important one, called alternate nostril breathing, nadi shodhana. This is a way to cleanse or clean your nadis. So Nadi is a completely different topic and theory, goes along with the chakra theory. And then there is the left channel and right channel called the Ida and Pingala Nadis. The practice of Nadi Shodhana objective is to clear that path. It's all towards the enlightening, right? That is what this is about. For the Nadi Shodhana, without knowing all the underlying, we don't have to know how the engine works, how the car works to drive a car, right? So let's work on the practice itself. So we are going to be using our hand here with this practice, and this is called Vishnu Mudra. And so it's basically, I'm going to have my thumb out, and then the ring finger, and then the pinky, and then the other two is closed, right? So that's it. Now from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my right nostril with the thumb, and then just listen and watch once, and then you can do it. So you're going to close the right nostril. Again, sit tall, right? Inhale from the left nostril, and then you're going to close the left, and then hold the breath. And then you're going to release the right and exhale. And then you're going to inhale from the right, close and hold, release the left, exhale. So we're using the same nostril for inhale and exhale and alternate. And then between the cycles, we are holding the breath. Okay? So I'll give you the instructions, just follow along. So Vishnu Mudra, step 1, sit tall, right nostril, close it with the thumb, inhale from the left, close the left and hold the breath. Exhale from the right, inhale from the right, close the right nostril, hold the breath. Exhale from the left, inhale, close and hold. Exhale from the right, inhale, close and hold. Exhale from the left. Now release the fingers and breathe normally. You can increase the count. I'm just giving you a demonstration here. Knowing the time limitation, I'm just giving you 3 cycles of each. So in a yoga class, at the end of a yoga practice, after everything is finished up, I'll have my students come up, and then we'll go through one of the pranayama techniques, right? Not necessarily 20 of them. The alternate nostril breathing is very effective. Nadi Shodhana, just 10 times. If you can sit and then take the deep breath each time, alternate nostril, and then inhale, exhale, it can do wonders for you. All right. The third and the last one I'm going to teach you today is called Shithali breathing, which is a cooling breath. It's a wonderful practice to do when you feel too hot, you want to cool down, or you're about to go to sleep, you're finding it difficult to go to sleep. This is an excellent practice. It's very easy to do. The way the cooling breath works is you have to roll your tongue like a tube, right? Some people it's hard. That's how you roll it in a tube, right? If it's hard, then you can have your tongue touch the upper lip, like that, right? Either one. So the objective here is you're going to roll like a tube or have it touch the upper lip, and then keep with the open mouth, you're going to inhale. You can, if you do it a couple times, you can feel a cool breath coming in, right? So when you inhale, tube shape, inhale with the open mouth, and then close your mouth, and then exhale through the nose, okay? Inhale, tube, exhale, closed through the nose. So let's begin that. There you go. Did you feel that, the cooling breath coming in? So it's if you're finding it hard to sleep, wonderful way to do that. Now let's end. Today has been wonderful. Panelists gave a very good information to us. So let's the ending of this. I'm going to end this with chanting of 3 ohms. Om is not necessarily. It's generally tied to somehow to Hindu religion. Not necessary, right? Om is it's a universal, right? Anyone can chant it. You don't have to attach it to Hinduism or anything like that. Om, the beautiful benefit of chanting Om is Om creates a vibration. I think Nazira talked about that earlier without really mentioning about the mantra there. Om creates a vibration. The vibration comes from the Im part of it, right? So Om is actually A-U-M, but with Sanskrit it's said Om. And when you chant Om, saying simply Om is not going to give you the benefit, right? So Om, you break it into 2. With the long rounded mouth O, you say it for the 2/3, and then the vibration, you go for the next 1/3. And that vibration is basically in the chakra theory. That is what is raising the Kundalini. With that vibration, Om vibration, it can instantly bring it to your heart chakra. So that's the power of Om. And another important factor with Om is in the universe, there's a vibration in everything. Every object vibrates at a frequency. And then when you start practicing something and your mind is distracted, and in a room with 25 people, you're practicing a yoga session or anything you're doing as a group, when you start something with a Om, now you are aligning yourself with the universal frequency, and everyone is chanting in the same frequency. Now we are in the same zone, right? That's the power of chanting Om. So having said, let's chant 3 ohms. We're going to sit tall, and the method for that is we're going to inhale, take a deep breath, and then when you exhale, you chant Om. Okay? So let's begin with a deep inhale. 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 Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming. Our next session is on Feb 29th. It's about Indian crime prevention. So we have the Johns Creek Police Chief and the District Attorney from Fulton County and Forsyth and Cobb County and Gwinnett County joining in forces to address the burglaries and the thefts, specifically in the Asian Indian American communities. The location is yet to be decided. If you're not on the mailing list, please email us and we'll add you to the list, so you'll get those emails. Thank you so much again for the wonderful listening, being a wonderful audience, and we appreciate you coming here today.